So hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to operate this device called TEM, Transmission Electron Microscope. So to first turn it on, if you look at the bottom side down here, you'll see a key inserted in the right side. So there's three kinds of phases: off, evacuation on, and column on. In order to turn this on, you should turn this in a clockwise direction to the column on, and you can see that this computer will turn on automatically once you flip this key. So it takes a while to reboot the computer. So in the meantime, we should prepare the sample on the left side. So to prepare your sample, you should always prepare your samples in a suspension phase. So powders cannot be detected by this microscope. So you should make a suspension using acetone, water, or something else. So you should drop this using a pipette into these small carbon grids. So you should drop cast it and let the solvent evaporate and insert this small grid into the microscope. So once you put this out using a pincet, you can see that there are two sides. The one side is a bit polished copper, a bit black color, and the other seems like the real copper. So you should always drop your suspension on the polished, the black colored side, not the real copper colored side. So there will be a pipette in this room. So you can use this pipette and take a little bit of your desired suspension. And drop it gently on the surface. This filter paper will absorb the excess solvent so that the particles could drop inside the carbon grid. So you should just repeat it. And you put this Petri dish on the top to prevent dust from coming down into the sample. So this is the end of the sample preparation process. So once you're at it and letting it dry, you can see that this computer screen has turned on. So this will be the main screen that you will operate. So after this, you need to insert your sample into this microscope, right? So in order to do it, you should use this rod. This rod contains a sample holder in which you can place your sample inside it. So first, you should gently pull it out, rotate it into a clockwise direction, and also pull it out. And then rotate it in a counterclockwise direction. And you can see that sort of like a click sound appeared, and you should click on air. So in ordinary conditions, the interior of this microscope is highly evacuated, so there will be huge amount of pressure difference between the outside and the inside. So if you try to pull out the rod without letting in the air will get sucked in right inside the microscope, so basically it will be broke. So you should wait for a few minutes, or like maybe about a minute, for this red tick to turn off. So once it turns off, it means that the pressure has maintained its balance. So we change color, so you should pull it out gently. Like this. So we'll move this sample holder into this side. So this is the compartment where the holder goes in. And this small compartment is where you place the samples. So holding one side of the sample holder, you should gently lift this part and you just rotate it and let the previously contained samples drop into the waste bin. After that, you take out your prepared sample, also using a pincet. You should gently put it inside here. So this will be sample holder 1, sample 2, sample 3. So don't forget to confuse that. Yep. So you can see that the sample is inserted inside the compartment. So once you're finished, you should insert it. So it's exactly the reverse process of what you did to take it out. So you can see that there's sort of like a keyhole if you look inside, and you can see this pointy thing that spikes out. So you should match this hole into this exactly the spikes get aligned, the points get aligned. So gently insert this so that it fits right inside. And listen carefully. Once you pull it in, push it in, yeah, you can see that there's another clicking sound. So before you rotate it and insert it, you need to evacuate the interior first so that it'll have the necessary conditions to be analyzed. You should also wait for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then the evacuation sign will be on. So once it is on, you should rotate it in a clockwise direction and let it go, and it'll automatically get inserted. And you should rotate it counterclockwise again a bit, and then it'll get inserted finally. So after the evacuation button turns on and you were too busy doing something else, it'll get turned off after a few moments. So if you're not sure that it's still being evacuated or it's being finished evacuated, you should turn it into air mode again to let the air inside, and then switch it on to evac again. You can only insert this rod once this green button is on, and once it's off you cannot. So you should keep that in mind. So this part is finalized, and for this there are these two icons. The left one is the acceleration voltage control, so you should click high voltage on. So this will prepare the instrument that shoots the electron beams. So the preset value will be 80 kilovolts, and once the acceleration voltage reaches 80 kilovolts, the other conditions will automatically be set into the preset value as well. So you should wait for a little moment here to let it be prepared. You can also insert the sample after you set the acceleration, after you maintain the acceleration voltage value. The procedure for that isn't sequential. You could either reverse it or not. All three values, the filament, the beam, the high voltage, has reached its preset value. It'll automatically turn off, and it means it's fully prepared for operation. So before that, there are two more additional steps that you should do. You should click the CCD green icon, and check it. If you click this icon, you can see that the sample is finally inserted inside. If you click it once again, the sample is pulled out. So you should put it in, go to the left side, and this is one of the components where you finally operate the X and Y axis, the magnification, the focus, and the brightness of the sample you're about to take the analyze. So you should click this aperture to change it into in, and finally you should turn on this ATM capture engine in the right side computer, this one. So once you turn it on, the screen will turn on like this. And when you click live image, you will see the sample. But however, there's one more thing you should consider. So we inserted the sample into sample holder number 1, right? As I said earlier. So you should change the sample stage into specimen number 1, since you inserted into number 1. So if you click 1, you can see that the X and Y coordinates are being changed, and this will move into the specimen you desire. And if it's still not appearing, you should lower this magnitude, and you should change the brightness, and you can see that it appeared. And finally, I'll tell you how to operate these. So these two will be the operation table. And as I told you, the thing labeled stage on the left side corresponds for the x-axis movements, positive and negative. And in the right side, it is the y-axis movement, also positive and negative. So you should change the x and y-axis to search for the sample you think is the most accurate. And you should change the magnification. And if it naturally gets, more darker as you imply more magnification inside the sample. So you should also change the brightness. And finally, if you think you found the sample you think best represents what you're about to tell, you should change the focus to make it a better picture. So once you've taken your final image, you should click for final image. Click for final image, and this picture will be integrated to a better quality picture. So if you want to save your file, click File, Save As. Save. So there are two options. You can either save without captions or save with captions. Save with caption means it contains all the information, including the scale bar and the date the sample name, the date you were taking this picture, and etc. So we normally save with caption in order to check how large the particle size is. And once you go into the same directory, you can see that there's the scale bar along with the picture you took. So after you've taken a picture of your desired sample, I'll tell you how to turn off the device. So first, there are two options. If you want to take a quick rest or go to the bathroom and you have to take a picture after a short while, you can just click turn off beam and go to the bathroom and come back and take a picture again. However, if you think you've ended, if you think you want to end taking a picture of the sample, you should turn off the high voltage, since excess time of high voltage on means there's a lot of pressure going into the filament that makes the electron beams. And since the lifetime of the filament isn't that long, it snaps after a while. So you should always remind to turn off the high voltage once you've finished taking pictures. And after you click this off, you go to the bottom part and you switch it back to the middle part, evacuation on. If you switch it to off, it means all the instruments will be shut down, and it will require multiple procedures to click it back on and calibrate. So under normal conditions, you just turn it back to evac on, and once you turn this into this, the computer will automatically be shut down and you can leave the room with your sample. So that will be the end. Thank you for listening.